The Unseen Terror, Jade's Nightmare in Seattle. Hello, please leave a message after the tone. It started like any other day. Jade and Steve, two college sweethearts, had planned to live together after graduation, something they'd talked about since their freshman year. Their dreams were finally becoming a reality, or so they thought. But soon their new life together turned into a waking nightmare. Every day, Jade would come home from work to find strange, expensive gifts waiting for her. At first, it was jewelry, expensive chocolates, and floral arrangements. The gifts were unnerving, but not completely threatening. However, each time a new basket appeared, there was something far more chilling: photos of Jade. Photos of her with her family, with Steve, even with her dog. It was clear that someone was watching her. One evening, after finding yet another basket of gifts and a photo of herself taken without her knowledge, Jade broke down in tears. Steve rushed to her side only to realize that this wasn't just some harmless prank. It was something much more sinister. Someone was stalking her, tracking her every move, and the gifts were just a small part of a much darker game. Steve's first step was to install security cameras around their home, hoping to capture any sign of the perpetrator. But the terror was far from over. One night, after a quiet dinner, Jade took a relaxing bath to ease her mind. But as the warm water enveloped her, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It read, "I'm outside." Jade screamed, her voice piercing the silence of the house. Steve rushed to her side and shaking checked the security cameras. There on the doorstep was a tall man wearing a black mask. He stood there for 5 minutes, staring at the house before disappearing into the darkness of the woods. Later, when Jade was home alone, things took a terrifying turn. She heard a knock at the window, a soft tapping sound that echoed in the silence of the house. Terrified, she texted her mother and grandmother, her fingers shaking as she typed. She even recorded the knocking. The footage revealed a shadowy figure lurking outside, his presence chilling her to the core. The worst was yet to come. In the middle of one night at 3 a.m., Jade's phone rang again, the same unknown number. When she didn't pick up, a voicemail was left. The voice was cold, detached, and horrifying. "I have no eyes, no fear. I have this huge need to kill. This is my world. I'm the one. It's another bloody game. I'll take you at any time. I know you best. I know where you are, how fast you can run, and what scares you." Jade and Steve rushed to the police with all the evidence they had: photos, texts, videos, and the chilling voicemail. But the police, unsurprisingly, were little help. The case is still under investigation, but the stalker continues to send Jade unwanted gifts, as if the terror is never ending. The chilling call: Dylan's haunting experience. In November 2018, another victim was tormented by a faceless stalker. Dylan, a young man just going about his normal life, received a strange voicemail one night. At first, he didn't notice it, asleep when the call came in. It wasn't until weeks later that he listened to the eerie message, which sent a chill down his spine. "Tell me, what's your favorite scary movie? Or are you the scary movie?" The voice on the other end knew Dylan's name. It knew personal details, like the color of his bed, blue and white. It claimed to have been in his closet watching him in. The voice was smooth, unnervingly calm, and the intent behind the message was clear: to scare him. Dylan tried to report the incident to the police, but they were unable to help. When he attempted to call the number back, it led to a dead end. No answers, just emptiness. Was the caller truly watching him? Or was it all just a twisted game? Either way, Dylan would never forget that haunting voicemail, nor the terror that came with it. Sasha's silent nightmare: a stalker in Syracuse. Sasha was a college student at Syracuse University, living with 3 of her friends in a house they rented. One night, while out with her friends, she met a man named Jeremy. He seemed mighty normal. Either way, Dylan would never forget that haunting voicemail, nor the terror that came with it. Sasha's silent nightmare: a stalker in Syracuse. Sasha was a college student at Syracuse University, living with 3 of her friends in a house they rented. One night, while out with her friends, she met a man named Jeremy. He seemed mighty normal, and they briefly spoke. After the encounter, she gave him her number, thinking nothing of it. The two arranged a date, but Sasha quickly realized that Jeremy was far from normal. He had an off-putting vibe, and she could tell there wouldn't be a second date. After paying her part of the bill, she tried to let the evening end politely, but it didn't. Jeremy bombarded her with texts that night, claiming how much fun he'd had. The messages kept coming, day after day. Sasha finally had enough and blocked him, hoping that would put an end to it, but it didn't. At 2:15 a.m. on December 14th, Sasha was jolted awake by an anonymous call. The voice on the other end was soft, almost a whisper. "Sasha, it's Jeremy. I don't know why you can't answer my calls or text. Pretty fucked up. You shouldn't leave your windows open, by the way. I'm whispering because I don't want it to wake you, but I have two surprises on the kitchen table. The sound of a door shutting echoed in the background. The front door to Sasha's house. Alarmed, one of her housemates woke up the others, asking who had just shut the door. No one had. Sasha checked her voicemail. The words left her frozen in fear. On the kitchen table was a stuffed turtle, Sasha's favorite animal. Alongside it was a Christmas card that simply read, "Merry Christmas from Jeremy." It was clear. Jeremy had been inside her home. The police were called, and the evidence was enough to charge Jeremy with breaking and entering, as well as stalking. He was sentenced to a week in jail and a series of fines. But the fear Sasha felt was far from over. For months, she couldn't shake the feeling that Jeremy could show up at any moment. The phantom call, the elderly woman's terrifying experience. In 2015, an elderly woman in Greeley, Colorado began hearing strange, unsettling noises on her landline phone. She was nearly blind and, in a panic, called her son from her neighbor's phone, convinced someone had taken over her line. Her neighbor checked the phone but found no issues, reassuring the woman that everything was fine. But the strange occurrences continued. Every evening, around 7 to 7:15 p.m., the phone would ring with something other than a dial tone. Instead, there was an eerie, robotic message. Security tracing in progress. Status alert. Station to run. Foxtrot 77. This wasn't a normal phone call. It wasn't a simple glitch. It was as though someone or something was watching her. The message repeated every evening. When the woman's son arrived to investigate, he found the phone appeared fine. Yet when he tried to record the message, it had stopped. The phone went completely silent, almost as if someone knew they were being watched. The fear never left the elderly woman, even after the strange messages stopped. Her son posted the recordings online, hoping someone could make sense of what they'd heard. Was it a government message? A secret code? No one could say for sure, but the fear in that woman's heart was undeniable. The haunted phone, Braxton's unsettling experience. In October 2009, Braxton McCannon's family experienced something truly terrifying. Braxton's sister's phone began calling their mother, even though she was home. The bizarre calls continued, despite the fact that her phone was right where it should have been, sitting quietly in her room. The phone wasn't in her hand, but it was still calling. When Braxton's mother went to confront her daughter, she discovered the unthinkable. Her daughter wasn't making the calls. The phone was. But it was what happened next that truly sent chills down their spines. The voicemail had been left after one of the calls. In the background, the sound of a radio played. Then suddenly it cut off, replaced by a horrific, otherworldly screeching sound. It wasn't a mistake, nor was it a random glitch. It was intentional. The phone had become an instrument of terror. The voicemail lasted only a few seconds before hanging up, as if someone had made their point and then disappeared into the darkness. These are not just stories. They are the accounts of real people who lived through unimaginable horror. People who were watched, stalked, and terrorized by faceless figures hidden in the shadows. And the terror, it never really ends.